Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be comparing two gimbals against each other. We've got the brand new Hohem iSteady V2 and we're going to be comparing it to the Zhiyun Smooth 4 gimbal. We're going to have a look at the differences to see, is one better than the other? What has this got that this one doesn't, and vice versa? So let's find out together if one is better than the other and which one will best suit our needs. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is the apps and what apps are available for these. Now the Hohem iSteady V2 uses the Hohem Pro app. It does have a Pro setting in it and gives you a little more control over just the basic. But it is a fairly simplistic basic program that does have a few automatics and everything else with it. Now the Zhiyun Smooth 4, it uses the ZY Play app, but it also has the bonus of using Filmic Pro. That's right, Filmic Pro will work with the gimbal controls. They partnered together to get this to work, and I think that is fantastic because Filmic Pro is a fantastic app. Now, I'm not going to get into all the little bits and pieces of the app because it's not about that. It's about the gimbals and what differences there are in comparing them. For more detail on both of these and a more of an in-depth look, down below I'm going to put some links to Filmic Pro, to the unboxing and reviews of these independent gimbals, so you can check it out in further detail. This video is meant to look at what differences there is. We got a difference in the apps right off the bat. Now, why do we get a gimbal? We get a gimbal because we want stable footage. We want that smooth movement. We don't want all that bouncing, jerking, vibrating. That's why we get gimbals. How good are these? Is one better than the other? Let's have a look at some walking footage and see what you think. Let's have a look at some running footage of these. I tried to start in the same place and try and end around the same place, so that way when I run these back for you, you can get a better feel of which one you like, which one do you prefer. Another consideration between these two gimbals is their payload. How much weight can these things take? The Zhiyun Smooth 4, big gimbal, takes 210 grams payload. The Hohem iSteady V2, smaller gimbal, takes 280 grams. So I'm pretty sure the Zhiyun is being generous and being underweighting a bit, and the Hohem I think is bumping theirs right kind of to the max, because I think this one does have a little greater capability than 210. But that's how it stands, 210 grams, 280 grams for load capacities. Now let's talk battery life. The Zhiyun Smooth 4 has an impressive 12-hour battery life. I've used this gimbal a lot, and I must say I've never run out of battery. I've always been able to do everything I need to do without an issue. The Hohem iSteady V2, on the other hand, is a 2 to 9 hour battery life. They give you that little bit of a range depending on the features you're using. If you're using the AI sensor with the light on and your gimbal controls, they say you get approximately 2 hours battery life. If you're just using the AI sensor, then you're probably around the 4-hour mark for the battery. If you're not using the top, and you're just using it as a gimbal, they're saying approximately 9 hours. Now I will say, I didn't have a full charge, but I thought I was about 3/4. I went to do a time lapse and it died on me. So I'm not sure how accurate the battery life is on that, but I haven't had an issue kind of since, and I make sure things are fully charged before I go and do anything with it. That day I didn't, and it died out on me. Even though I had like 3 bars showing, couldn't do a half an hour on a time lapse. So there you go. But that is it. 12-hour battery life. 2 to 9 hour, depending on what you're using. The Zhiyun Smooth 4 has a pan of 240, a roll of 240, and a tilt of 300. The Hohem ISTEADY V2 has a pan of 320, a roll of 320, and a tilt of 270. Now the modes that each can go in, the Zhiyun Smooth 4 can do pan follow, locked off, follow mode, and phone go mode. The modes for the Hohem ISTEADY V2 has pan and tilt follow, all lock, POV all follow, sport mode, and auto inception. The Zhiyun Smooth 4 has a lot of controls on the front, has a spinning wheel on here and one on the side, but it does not have a joystick to control it. I wish it did. That's one thing that I really do like. The Hohem ISTEADY V2 does have a joystick, and the control is right on the front of the unit, and it works wonderfully. So you can see you can move the head in multiple directions. That's one reason why I love a joystick. Now let's talk about the port on the cell phone. On the Zhiyun Smooth 4, you can see the port is right here where you charge your phone or add accessories. It is blocked by the gimbal arm. You can slide the camera to the left, expose the port, and you get a right angle adapter, but you need counterweights back here in order to compensate for the camera being shifted. But you can do it, and you can charge your cell phone from the gimbal. The port's on the side here. You can connect it to here, and there are right angled cables available for it. Plus you can hook up an external microphone and mount down here. Now for the port on the Hohem ISTEADY V2, you can see it's fully open. You can connect from here to the side here, and you can actually recharge your cell phone from the gimbal, or you can hook up an external microphone and mount onto the side here. There is capabilities because the port is not blocked. Now let's talk about the wide angle issue with the Zhiyun Smooth 4. You cannot access it through the app. If your camera has the wide angled lens, you have to use your in-camera app, but you can use in this mode, in flashlight mode, you can use it and you will not have the gimbal motor in the way. Now let's talk about wide angled lens on the Hohem ISTEADY V2. You can use the wide angled lens with the gimbal through the app. The app has it. If you go to that video that I had talked about previous in the link down below, it'll show you how to do it. But you can use a wide angled lens, and the gimbal motor does not get in the way of your lenses whatsoever. There's a lot of clearance here, so you can use your wide angled lens. The Zhiyun Smooth 4, you cannot. The elbow always ends up in the shot unless you're in flashlight mode. This one, you can use your wide angled lenses with the gimbal, which is amazing. Well, now let's talk about tracking. The Zhiyun Smooth 4 has tracking, people and object, and you use it in the app. You go into the app and you can select and draw a box around and it'll track an object. And it works okay. It's not the most amazing tracking I've ever seen, but it does work. The Hohem ISTEADY V2, on the other hand, has two types of tracking. One within the app, and you can draw a box around, and there's a little hand gesture symbol you can put on there, and it recognizes hand signals, and it'll track you based on that. You also have on top here, this little lens is an AI tracker. So it'll face track. Give it an OK symbol, this thing will track you. Put your hand up to stop it, stops tracking you. I must say, the tracking on this blew me away. I mean, check out the link down below to the unboxing and review of this one, where I even hid on this thing and it picked me right back up. The Smooth 4 doesn't tend to do that. It'll tend to lose you a little more often. So I must say, the tracking on the Hohem ISTEADY V2 blew me away. Amazing, amazing tracking. So that's kind of the differences there between them. They both have, though, people and object tracking. This one just has two versions. This is just simply a software one. All right, now let's look at portability. Look at the size of the Zhiyun Smooth 4. When I take this out, you can see this is compacted. This is as small as the Zhiyun Smooth 4 gets. It's quite big, it's quite bulky. The Hohem ISTEADY V2, on the other hand, you can see is quite tiny, and it does have a little knob on the side here, which allows you to disconnect that, spin this around, and shrink it. So you can see this is a lot smaller than the Smooth 4. There's quite a bit of difference in height and weight between the two of them. So nice and portable, not so portable. Now let's get into learning curve. How is the learning curve with these two. You saw in here, there's not much in the way of controls. It's fairly simplistic, so you can get going and playing and get results quickly with it. The Zhiyun Smooth 4, a lot more controls. We even have a couple of buttons on the back. We got a dial on the side, and we got a lot of buttons here. The learning curve for the Smooth 4, honestly, is greater than on the Hohem ISTEADY V2. This one, though, I feel gives you more control in your hands. So you can adjust more things and get a little bit more precision, a little more precise than you can on the Hohem ISTEADY V2. So there is more of a learning curve with this, but I think this is geared for somebody that's more intermediate to pro level, where this is more beginner maybe to intermediate in the learning curve world in photography, using your cell phones within these. So that's just my opinion on that. I love the Zhiyun Smooth 4 and I love the Hohem ISTEADY V2. They all have the quirks. They all have their differences. They both have their place in the world of gimbals. So I'd love to know what you guys think about the gimbals. Do you have both? Do you have one? Do you have the other? Leave a comment down below. I'd like to know what you have and what you think of it. So, well, that's it for this one. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. So, until the next time.